What's up? How y'all doing? Sugamonger. This is the Microtech Alpha Detachment Operative, AOD, right? This is the Zombie Tech Edition. I picked this one up because I was trying to diversify my collection with colors, right? I really like the colors, big flashy. It just brings a little bit more pop when you see them all together. I noticed that doing the knife collection video, it just looks good with all of the colors in it. And so I wanted to pick something up with the zombie tech. I'm a really big fan of Microtech, and honestly, the AOD is just such a fantastic knife design. Another thing that I really like about this, right, is there's such a negative stigma on hollow handle knives, on single piece knives, and it's not really too much in the knife community anymore, but it's still a really big thing with just the general population, right? You know, the general public has this idea of a hollow handle knife as being a piece of crap, and I think the reason that that came about, right, is like the Rambo knives, you know what I mean? Because when Rambo came out, there was so many companies that started coming out with those hollow handle Rambo knives that were all crap, you know what I mean? There's thousands of these things coming out of China that are all pieces of shit. And so the hollow handle knife itself got kind of a bad reputation, when in reality companies like Microtech and Chris Reeves, to name another one, are almost famous for their hollow handle knives. It's actually where Chris Reeves' knives got his start. He didn't actually start out in folding knives. It was hollow handle fixed blades, much like this one here, except this is obviously, you know, a Microtech design. The AOD is a very small knife, right? And it's actually kind of, you read the specs, it's got a 4.5-inch blade length, 4.5-inch handle length, which is interesting just on the fact that it's got a 1-in-1. You can see down in there. I love that milling job. Look at the milling done on this cap, right? And you see those specs and you're like, okay, it's a decent sized knife, right? Weighs 4.4 ounces, it's like 4.46 ounces. But in reality, this thing kind of is tiny, except it's not tiny. It's an interesting knife. Where I would put this thing, right, it's somewhere in between, full size combat fixed blade, right? Because you've got that length, you've almost got the same like slashing capability as far as hard slashing. It's not nearly going to be as good of a slicer. It's never going to do as good of a cutting job in the slashing motion, but you've still got a decent amount of cutting edge. You've still got a decent amount of ability, so that ability is still there. And then you take it on down to something smaller, right? I'm going to leave this one up for now. It's Benchmade 140 Nimravis. And then it almost is in the same class as these really small, backup lighter use fixed blades. Something that you throw on as like a second ditch effort, right? And so it's actually somewhere in the middle for me between these two. It's something that's almost like a full-size fixed blade, almost like a full-size combat knife, but still so small and so easy to kind of throw anywhere that it makes for, that second use backup knife. So it's an excellent choice. It performs a whole lot of roles, fits everywhere. The handle is tiny, very small handle, but still very good grip. I don't have any worry about actually slipping up onto this blade during use. It's not something that I would ever pick for a hard use task. I'm not going to want to carve wood with this, but it's definitely is a excellent little spike. You can see the thickness of the blade. It's got a 0.18 thick inch spine on the actual blade itself, and again, it's all one handle, one piece of 440A stainless steel. This is a $300 knife, right? And I'd like to mention that as well. The MSR, I don't know what the MSRP on this, but if you buy this knife online, you could be paying about $300 for it, right? And it's 440A. It's a 440A stainless steel. But the reason for the price and the reason for all of that, besides the fact that it's Microtech and they probably take a little bit of extra effort as far as heat treating and all of that, is the milling, right? This knife is made out of a solid billet chunk of steel, right? And the amount of milling and just time and effort that it takes to actually remove all of that material to actually just get down to this shape, that's where the actual money goes, is in the manufacturing of the actual knife itself. And then I imagine a lot of it goes to the heat treatment. But one thing I will say about the fit and finish, look at how horrible that finish is. There is no fit because it's all one piece, but you can see the finish here underneath that. The finish actually underneath the coating, it's kind of like, it's got those Benchmade kind of grind lines. You can see underneath the actual coating there. So the finish on this thing isn't actually on par with a lot of other Microtechs. And for the price point, I don't think that this thing quite meets that price point, right? As far as finish goes, that doesn't state anything as actual quality. Whether or not I feel this knife is worth $300. I bought it. You know what I mean? I have it. It's in my hand right now. So obviously I do feel that it's worth that money. I paid it. But there's, you know, a little bit of fit and flaws issue there. I don't know what I would stick in here. I actually don't know what I'm going to do with this knife besides killing some zombies. I'm going to stab a zombie in the head, but other than that, I don't really actually know what I'm going to do with this thing. I just think it's fantastic. Adds a lot of extra color to my knife collection here, right? And the sheath itself is excellent. This is one of the best deployment sheath I've ever seen. It's not that good for EDC carry. It's big, it's kind of heavy, and it is a little bit limiting as far as options of carry. You can adjust this belt clip, you know, horizontal, vertical, so you can carry it on your belt line either way, but really it's just going to excel at being carried upside down. This knife almost just wants to be carried upside down like that on your molly gear. You come up, push the button, knife falls out in your hand, right? You can see the way that actual engagement works there is it just snaps into a little lump or a little groove cut out in the actual blade there. And since this is a single-edged knife, you know what I mean, it's actually the drop point version here opposed to the dagger version, that actual notch is only on one side. So the sheath is orientated a certain way. And you can actually see inside there, the sheath, you can see that little lump coming up. That little lump actually intersects with the grind of the blade, right? And so it's a very tight fit. A little bit of rattle flapping around in there, but still a very tight fit. There's very little motion in it. And that's actually just because it's supported on the actual blade there. So excellent sheath design, very secure. And I love the fact that they painted it. They did the zombie. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it come across, but this is number 117. 2015 production, A.D.O. Zombie Tech. Huh. Excellent, right? They put all the markings in there, and there's not a marking on this knife. It says Microtech nowhere on this knife. It says nothing on this knife. Just green and bloody. And honestly, I really wasn't a fan of the Zombie Tech while it was a craze, you know, while all the companies were coming out with it. But now that it's kind of dying off, I think I'm getting a little bit more into it. I don't know. I want to give you a comparison between this one too, just in case you got it in your head that this is like an Ultratech drop point, because that's what I had in my head. I was like, oh, it's like a drop point on the Ultratech. They just put it on a fixed blade. It's really not. You can see there it's got a swedge cut. The fuller doesn't meet up to the same angle, you know what I mean? It doesn't meet up to the same spot on the blade. It is not the same as an Ultratech blade. It just kind of is reminiscent. It's Microtech A.D.O. Zombie Tech. Y'all have a good one.